too.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
We're ready. This is the meeting of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Complaint Committee for December 20th, 2016. The time is 5:36 p.m. Call the roll. Member Barnensky, she did inform me that she was unable to attend. Shall I mark her excused?
Yes, thank you.
Member Hinsey.
Present.
Hinsey present. Member Fisher.
Present.
Fisher present. Chair Tesfa.
Present, thank you.
Tesfa present. We have a quorum. There are no agenda changes that I know of today. Next on the agenda is item number 2, approval of the April 26, 2016, and then November 22nd, 2016 Complaint Committee meeting minutes. I apologize for the lateness of the April 26, 2016 meeting. I neglected to put it on the previous agenda.
I reviewed the minutes from both of those meetings. I wasn't present at the April 26th meeting, but I didn't notice
Was AIM in there?
any glaring. I don't believe so. It was Member Fisher's meeting,
me.
actually.
It was
That's
me.
what
I
I
was
saw,
there.
yeah. If we could have a motion to approve the minutes, then we can move forward.
So moved.
We have a second.
I'm sure
Or
second.
if you'd like a moment to take a look at,
You know, I didn't even scroll down. I just looked at the first one. April 20, that was mine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's fine. Second.
all right, do we have any public comment on this item? Seeing none, if we could just,
On the motion to adopt the minutes, Member Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Member Hinsey.
Aye.
Hinsey, aye. Chair Tesfa.
aye.
Tesfa, aye. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is item number 3, public comment. Members of the public may address the complaint committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction but not on today's agenda. Are there any members of the public who would like to provide public comment today? There are no public commenters today.
Okay.
Next on the agenda. Item number 4, file number 16092, complaint filed by Anonymous against Dr. Lydia Leung, Department of Public Health, for allegedly violating Administrative Code, Section 67.25, by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and/or complete manner. I believe that the complainant is present today, but I do not believe that the respondent is present at this time.
Can we hear from the complainant?
Thank you for members of the complaint committee.
One moment, sir. How much time did you give? 3?
Actually, I believe we're moving to a new format. If you had any questions that you wish the complainant to address, it may be best to point out issues that you would like him to address at this time, and then he can respond, and he will be provided 3 minutes for his response.
Give me one moment. If you could give me one moment, let me just take a quick look.
May I suggest that we request that the complainant state exactly what document he has not yet received from,
My usual, what's missing?
he has not received. And I believe there is a HIPAA portion of this complaint.
Great. And before getting started, should we do the determination of jurisdiction?
We can do that towards the end.
Okay, great. Are those instructions clear for you? If you could clearly state which documents are still missing?
If you can, in your comment, can you state what documents you're still looking for from the department? And,
Sure.
And anything else you would like to let the task force know.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Good start.
On March 24th, 2015, I attended a meeting of this committee, the Patient Advisory Committee of the Family Health Center. The meeting took place in Building 80, the 5th floor, room 505 at General Hospital. Among the hospital staff present was Lucia Angel. At that time, she gave her phone number as 415-206-6539. In addition, at least 5 other unnamed members of the public were present at that meeting. I have not received any document relating to that meeting. That meeting, I found out about that meeting by phoning Lucia Angel and asking when and where their next meeting would take place. So, in order for them to have conducted that meeting, they would have had to communicate with the other people there, and I believe they would have had to produce an agenda. Now, that's one document that they did not provide. They're completely unresponsive to that. Now, my original request was to cover a period of 33 months, from January of 2014 through, I believe, September through 2016. This is a committee that meets periodically. I don't know what the period between meetings is, but I have participated in these kinds of committees for many, many years at both Family Health Center, although not recently, except for the one I'm just telling you of March 24, 2015, at the Potrero Hill Health Clinic, and also at General Hospital. So they usually, in my experience, meet about every 6 months. So in 33 months, I would think they would have met other times, but I have no record of that. I'm just imputing from many years of experience of going to these meetings. I think that's the short answer. I mean, I could personally testify that there was a meeting on March 24th, 2015. There must have been some documents that were generated from that meeting. And where are they? Why didn't they ever send me those documents? There's other issues involved, and I'm trying to keep this very narrowly focused. I think Victor mentioned HIPAA. Well, my 3 minutes are up.
You can finish your sentence.
Well, I don't believe that this committee is exempt from the Sunshine Ordinance. There are no exemptions for advisory committees of any government agency in the city and county of San Francisco. So they are obliged to comply with the Sunshine Ordinance. And that includes HIPAA. They mentioned HIPAA. HIPAA doesn't. Also, in my experience of years of participating in these meetings, there never was any confidential health information exchanged. There was never any restrictions on the participation of the patient. The only condition was you be a patient. I've been a patient for 25 years at the Family Health Center. So I don't know. It's a whole other can of worms, and I know I only asked for a generic request for documents. At some point, I think this committee will have to come to terms with their changing the nature of these committee meetings from open public ones to secret ones. They sent me a bunch of boilerplate guides that have no dates on them, and they don't have any authorship. And they purport to set up. Look, these committees were originally set up to cut through bureaucracy. They have now. This is a can of worms which I maybe shouldn't be opening up. But if you look at what they sent me, they've reinstituted a whole list of bureaucratic procedures that patients have to go through to participate. The original purpose of these committees was to facilitate communication between patients and staff, cut through the red tape. They've now reimposed a whole bureaucracy of red tape and qualifications that were never the case. So that's a little off the topic.
Okay, I think that's
That's a background.
Thank you. I do have a few questions. Do the other members have any questions?
So this is a public meeting, right? The documents for which you're
believe-
seeking the documents?
I mean, what I read in the packet was that this is not a public meeting.
And why do you believe it's not a public?
I'm just saying, from the packet, the response that microphone, sorry. From what I had read in the packet, that you received I think that's probably in a few places in the,
Sorry, second
I think you're
sentence.
on a different page than me, but one of the emails I saw, it said that the Patient Advisory Council those meetings are not open to the public. Member Fisher, which document are you
I'm
referring
sorry,
to?
I'm looking at Lydia Long's response to the file in the very first paragraph. The second sentence says,
What was
quote,
the
"These
page
meetings are
number?
not open to the," page 28, sorry.
Great.
"These meetings are not open to the general public." I mean,
Yeah, but they're declaring it to be closed doesn't make it closed. These are meetings conducted under the auspices and sponsored by the San Francisco Health Department, which is a publicly funded agency of the city and county of San Francisco. There is no, as I said originally, there is no exemption, there is no legal justification for any secret meetings in the health department, including this one. They have to have if you look in the Sunshine Ordinance, you're not going to find any exemption for any advisory committees, and the Sunshine Ordinance does not allow for secret proceedings. These are all publicly funded agencies. These employees work by the health department.
Great.
That's all.
Member Hinsey, do you have any other questions?
Not at this time.
Okay, I do. Sorry, Member Fisher. Okay. I was wondering if you could show me, or how did you come to learn about this meeting?
Oh, I originally said it. I phoned Lucy. I've been a patient at the Family Health Center for well over 25 years. I've participated in many meetings of these advisory committees
Right.
at least 3 different branches of the health department: the Potrero Hill Health Center, the Family Health Center, and the General Hospital. I participated in many
I
meetings.
meant the specific meeting on March 24th.
Right. I called the General Hospital and asked who is in charge of coordinating the meetings for this body. And they gave me Lucia Angel's name and the phone number that I read into the record a little while ago. And she told me.
And so when you called Lucille, she said, we had a meeting of the PAC on March 24th.
Yeah, and I showed up at the meeting and I participated in the meeting without any of the conditions that she put in the packet that alleging this is a secret proceeding, which it isn't.
Because you attended.
Pardon?
Because you attended the meeting.
Obviously.
Okay.
And what's interesting is that when I attended that meeting, there was no mention of the secret nature that they're now alleging to be the...
Okay.
Look, this is
So
a way
at the meeting, were there any documents that were passed out?
Well, not that I recall.
Okay.
And
I mean, you were there, so.
I was there. And the reason I went there was because I've been working on a public effort to save the bus line, the 33 bus line. MTA wanted to cut the bus line to the hospital. So I went to the meeting asking for their support, and they gave it to me,
Okay.
at least verbally.
And so the specific document that you would like is the March 24th, 2015
Well-
agenda, though you did not see if one existed. My question is basically,
Have you
perhaps-
seen, have
yep.
you seen the document that you're actually seeking?
Well, look,
Or do you
as-
know,
They should
do you
probably
know that
have-
it exists?
right, they should probably have an agenda.
You-
But did you see an agenda that day that is now being denied to you?
I believe I did, but I'm just trying to be backtrack and be commonsensical about this. How are these meetings conducted? They must have notified at least 5 people, and they must have set an agenda. because, I mean, otherwise it's just chaos, right?
So I'm trying to figure out, is the violation that you're bringing your complaint under for failure to properly notice the meeting and have an agenda, or is it for the failure to respond to your IDR?
That's a good question.
It's the failure to provide documents that must exist somewhere or must have existed for the meeting.
Well, I'm just saying the documents might not exist, and that would be a violation in themselves, not having an agenda, not having properly noticed the meeting. But I'm trying to find out, is that what your complaint is under, or is your complaint under you know that an agenda existed because you saw it, and now that you're requesting it, they're not giving it to you?
Repeat the first one.
Okay, the first one would be, we're talking about either a violation of providing records or a violation of having an open meeting. And the violation for the public record would be you put in an immediate disclosure request for a document that you know exists or that you think exists.
I have a
For
reasonable
example, like you saw it.
belief that exists because they could not have conducted the meeting in an orderly manner without having a piece of paper on which they outline what they were going to do. The meeting went on for some time, and so I'm
just trying to figure out what specific
I would say
violation.
both. I would say both things, frankly, but also they're being extremely secretive about this with the intention of muzzling the patients and providing a facade for appearing to have the patients participate in a proceeding that they have complete control over, which was never the intention of these committees to start with. So I'm also assuming that because this is an ongoing committee, that over 33 months, which is the period of my request, they must have had other meetings. There's no record of it. They didn't send me anything. It's not credible that they haven't had other meetings.
Did your request include the request for the agenda and notice for this meeting, as well as, I think you said the agendas for the 33-month period between 2014 and 2015?
My request used two fundamental terms: all communications and documents, and that covers the agenda by the very nature of what those words mean.
But all communications and documents for the March 24th, 2015 agenda?
No,
or for all
the
meetings.
Yeah, for the 33 months to cover.
Okay.
And I got nothing.
Can you remind me of what the period is again? The 33-month period. I need to know this information so that we can come up with an accurate.
Sure. Yeah, it's
understanding.
January, I believe it's January, Victor has it, I believe it's January 1, 2014 through September 18th, 2016. That's 33 months by my reckoning.
Okay.
But it's just not credible that there were no meetings of this committee during that period of time. And also, I know there was one because I attended one. And they're not producing a single document, which is a stonewalling, and it's a gross violation of sunshine.
Mm-hmm. So right now, your complaint, it lists one section of the ordinance for your violation. It's section 67.25.
Yeah.
But it sounds like your complaint would encompass a couple of other sections of the ordinance. So I'm trying to take a look and identify.
Appreciate that.
Actually, at this time, we don't need to be doing all of that.
I would just like to point out page 31,
Thank you.
where they state that of the documents that they did provide.
Okay.
I'm trying.
Thank you.
Would you like to see what they provided?
It should be in the packet. That
Oh, they sent a duplicate copy to you? Okay, no. Notice that there are no dates on any of these. This is just boilerplate. There are no dates on any of these pages, except by an example of. In fact, you know what? They show in the packet somewhere an example of an agenda, a printed agenda. They are tipping their hand Do I need to show that to you? If you,
No.
in the packet
I
is...
I have the, or you can, if you want to point to a specific.
Well, I got to go find it, but I definitely saw what they're purporting to be an agenda for the meeting. And you know what? On page 34 of the Patient Advisory Council packet, under meeting minutes, there's a sample meeting minutes page. So where are the meeting minutes? They're claiming on their own documents that they record minutes of the meetings.
So there was a PowerPoint that was forwarded from the Patient Advisory Council, and then a handbook and things like that. And so could those have been the documents that were presented at the meetings that you're looking for?
No, I don't have, they have not sent the minutes of the meeting that I attended,
What, okay.
March 24, 2015.
So it's the minutes that you would like? You said that you wanted the agenda.
All, my original request is
Okay.
all documents and communications.
Okay.
Pertaining to those meetings.
Is,
Pertaining to all patient PAC meetings or pertaining to the March 24th meeting?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Are you requesting all communications and documents in reference to all meetings between that date?
In
or-
that 33-month period. Because I believe they are obliged under Sunshine to provide them. These are public documents.
Okay.
So do you need
So
to...
at this point, the purpose of this committee is to just make sure that you have your documents in order, to make sure that there are specific sections of the Sunshine Ordinance that have been implicated in your complaint before moving your case onto a hearing before the full task force.
Yeah.
And so that's the information that we're trying to find out now. Members Hinsey, Fisher, and I are not going to be giving you a judgment today to say that there was a violation or not. We're just trying to make sure that the documents are in order, that your complaint is succinct, and that a specific section of the ordinance has been implicated so that we can forward that on to our cohort, the whole task force, to make sure that your case is ready for review. That's the purpose of this.
Well,
So we're not going to be saying that there's a violation or anything of that nature. We're trying to find out, make sure that your case is, together and ready to go for when you are heard before the whole task force.
well, 2 points. First of all, on page 30, there's also a sample agenda that they provided, right? This is, mind you, this is a sample. This is not for any meeting that I attended, or, well, I guess you could.
Okay, well, what I have for page 30 is something in Spanish. It's a confidentiality statement of the Patient Advisory Council.
Okay, that's in a different document.
Okay.
It's in this document that there's a sample agenda on page 30. You want to?
I believe that the chair has indicated that that's not what we're looking for at this time. We're
Okay.
just trying to get an idea of what the complaint is about.
Well, this shows that for their meetings, they produce such documents.
Okay.
Plus, one more thing, I do think I was before this committee one other time on another matter, and it issued a violation for another under unrelated matter. So that is an option, but if
It's no longer an option.
We've restructured since then.
okay.
And it's
So-
because, the full task force has a number of different skills
Yeah, sure.
and understanding, so we want to give you the benefit of being able, but we want to move things along as well. So it looks like at this time, we've been able to look through a couple of questions, and so you're welcome to be seated, and maybe we'll discuss it among ourselves for a moment. But first, I'd be looking for a motion on jurisdiction on this issue.
So move to find jurisdiction.
I'll second.
Okay. We can take that without.
The motion to find jurisdiction. Is there any public comment on jurisdiction? There being none, the motion to find jurisdiction is adopted without objection.
Okay. So it looks like we've been able to identify what specific documents he had requested. He has requested all communications and documents related to the PAC meetings between that period of January 1, 2014 and September 18th, 2016. A cursory review of the documents that were in the packet, it seemed pretty general. I was wondering if our administrator has any more information about the information in the documents that were in the packet. I see a lot of information about, a sample first meeting agenda, things like that, but it looks like there are still some documents that are missing.
That is a question we can pass back along to the department before it gets.
Great. For the next...
and just so the complaint committee
Thank you.
Does understand, you can issue recommendations if you have a strong feeling one way or the other.
Okay.
But I believe, as you do that, there's probably not enough information at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And so my suggestion is to make a motion to refer this matter to the task force with no recommendation regarding regarding a violation, with the motion to find jurisdiction, and that we send it to the February 1st meeting of the full task force in order to allow time for the public health to
Okay.
provide additional information.
That sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me.
Would you like to make that into a motion, Member Hinton?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll move that we move this up to the full task force with with a motion to find jurisdiction, but no recommendation, and this will be on the February 1st agenda of the full task force as per our administrators, so that public health can respond to some questions and hopefully give us an update then. So
Great.
Yes, and just to clarify that the summary from this committee is that the request was for all communications and documents for this 36-month period, and I will request information from public health regarding whether or not those were provided, or if it wasn't provided, why they were not provided.
And that would be great. And I would also like to add to that we would possibly be looking at violations not only of the IDR, so the public records violations, but also potential open meeting violation if no agenda, no notice. Pardon? Yes? Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, you agree. Potentially no notice or agenda.
Yes, we want information regarding that.
Yes.
Okay.
That sounds good. Oh, second?
Okay. Do we have any public comment on the motion? Okay, seeing none, if you could just call the roll on that.
On that motion, Member Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Member Hinsey.
aye.
Hinsey, aye. Chair Tesfa.
Aye.
Tesfa, aye. The motion passes.
Thank you.
And I would just like to let the complainant know that this will be scheduled on February 1st before the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force at 4 p.m. I do know that you receive items via mail, but this is your official notice of hearing at this time. Thank you.
Can you call the next item, please?
Item number 5, file number 16094, complaint filed by Sophia Dianda against the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development for allegedly violating Administrative Code, Section 67.21, by failing to respond to a request for public records in a timely and/or complete manner. Is Ms. Dianda in the room? Or Sophia in the room? Is a representative from the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development. Thank you. And just to provide a short summary.
Who's he from? He's Mayor's Office.
Mayor's Office of Housing. I believe that Sophia made a request for her attendance records at certain contracted services or nonprofits. However, the department has stated that they don't maintain records for their contractors, and they referred Sophia to those contractors to retrieve that information. And there is an email in the file from that organization stating that he has responded to Sophia. So I'm not sure where we are at this time.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
So we do not keep
Can you state your name?
Eugene Flannery, Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development. Our office does not maintain records that, such as attendance records for services provided by our nonprofits for a variety of reasons. One is privacy, two is feasibility, and three, that's not what we do. We provide funding for a wide variety of services throughout the city, from housing to substance abuse to learning how to buy a house, learning how not to be evicted. So we do not keep those kind of records. And we did ask Ms. DeAnda to contact the particular agency, and we contacted the agency, and the agency provided her with the records. So I'm kind of flummoxed by this summons.
Okay. And just for some clarification, so your department provides the funding to these different contractors. That's who you're talking about, or agencies?
Agencies,
So these are city agencies?
no.
Okay, so can you go into...
They're nonprofit agencies.
Okay. So you provide the funding to the nonprofit agencies, and that's who you directed the complainant to receive her hourly records?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm actually very familiar with this program, and I can see that the complainant is trying to show that she's attended the 6 hours so that she can get on the BMR. I'm assuming it's probably for open house or something similar. But I'm stuck, and maybe, Victor, you can help me out with this. I'm hearing Mr. Flannery, was it, say that we don't keep records of this. So this is one of those situations, is if there is no record, then a record cannot be produced. Is that what
yes,
am
in
I
addition,
seeing this?
nonprofits are not subject to sunshine. They are subject to Administrative Code 12L. And if they did provide the attendance records, they did that voluntarily. They were not required to.
Okay.
And it's from what I've been reading, because I took somebody to one of these meetings once. There was a sign-in sheet, though, and I know that you can't even get on, and you can probably clear this up, Mr. Flannery. I mean, you can't even get into the lottery or anything until you've completed these classes, right? So why is she asking for that?
She has, well, I'm not at liberty to discuss her.
Give us a hypothetical.
If someone does not complete something, they can go back and complete it, and they're given opportunities to select the agency at which they want to complete it. Mm-hmm. So the attendance records, the sign-in sheets are maintained by the various nonprofits. We audit on a regular basis, just as any other city agency does, but we don't bring those records back. So as you know, Ms. DeAnda has filed many requests with us that are often not possible to be completed because we don't keep those records.
Well, someone does, though. I mean, in
The
order
nonprofit.
Okay, because in order to even get on the MOH list to try and get one of these BMRs...
You need a certificate.
You need a certificate, and the certificate is provided by the nonprofits?
By the nonprofit.
Okay, that part, I didn't stay the whole 6 hours. I just took
Right,
my friend
yeah.
there and left.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Got it.
Thank you.
So it sounds like she wants her certificate so that she can be eligible to
Well,
be
yeah, this is like a 1 in a million shot for a lot of these.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 1 in a couple of hundred, right?
Well, from the information we have in the packet, you can be seated. Thank you.
Thanks.
The program that she was applying to was not a lottery program.
I don't think it matters.
I want to hear what he has to say, if it's okay with you through the chair.
Okay.
Go
Maybe
on.
after we should
Okay, go
stay
on.
on point.
Okay.
Sorry.
We
Thank
have
you.
limited time tonight.
So do
You're
we?
right, I'm the one limiting it, sorry.
So it appears at this time, I would like to, as much as I would like to hear from the complainant, it sounds like this is a case in which, yes, the complainant is not here, but that the mayor's office doesn't have the records, and
It sounds like they directed it.
And they may have already, directed it to the right place, like Member Hinsey said, and it sounds like she may have already received her records. So,
May I suggest we refer this to the task force with the recommendation that no violation has occurred?
can we hear that motion? Or does anyone want to make that motion? Yes?
I will. I will make the motion to refer to the full task force with the recommendation that no violation has occurred.
Second.
Do we have any public comment on that motion? Okay, seeing none, we can just call the roll.
On that motion, Member Fisher?
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Member Hinsey?
Aye.
Hinsey, aye. Chair Tesfa?
Aye, thank you.
Tesfa, aye. And I just want to clarify, that motion included the finding of jurisdiction.
Oh.
Yes.
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 Mr. Flannery? Yes. This matter will be referred to the full task force for hearing. I just wanted to confirm your availability for either January the 4th or February the 1st. I will tentatively schedule it for January the 4th, pending confirmation with the chair of the full task force. Thank you.
Before we get to the next item, I just wanted to ask if either of you will be at the next meeting. I will not be present,
Yes.
so it'd be, okay.
Yes.
So perhaps you could speak on this item
Okay.
when requested. Thank you, Member Hinsey.
The next full meeting, which
That'll be
is
January the 4th, yes.
Oh, yeah, I'll be here.
Thank you. Okay.
Next on the agenda.
Item
6.
Item number 6, file number 16106, complaint filed by Anonymous against Andrew Perry, Anna Brash, and the Planning Department for allegedly violating Administrative Code, Section 67.21, 67.25, 67.26, and 67.29-7, by failing to respond to a immediate disclosure request in a timely and/or complete manner. Is either party present for this matter? I do not see any parties. In summary of this complaint, the response, from my review of the documents, the response was timely. However, Mr. Perry asked for copies of the planning code that applies to a certain specific project. The planning department provided a copy of a checklist of all planning code sections that must be considered when reviewing a new project. In the follow-up, the complainant stated he wanted a completed checklist, but the planning department says the checklist did not exist as they did not use it for this particular project. And that is, at that point, the planning department has stated they have provided the documents. However, the complainant is, I believe, looking for additional information.
Okay.
Oh, in addition, once the planning department stated that they did not complete a checklist, there was no further response from the complainant, so they assumed that the complaint was closed, or the request was closed, and they did not hear anything further until this complaint was filed.
Okay. Thank you.
So the response appears to be timely. However, the complainant does not believe he received the information he requested.
Okay. Well, just from a cursory review of the documents and hearing from Victor, it sounds like this is an item in which we do have jurisdiction. There are a number of sections that have been implicated here: 67.21, 67.25, 67.26, and 67.29. And I mean, my initial thought when I looked at this case was, though the IDR may have been timely, it sounds like the documents that were provided may have been a bit general. The response from the planning department was interesting because it seems like they were able to provide, and correct me if I'm wrong, Victor, they were able to provide what a checklist, like all the documents that are required, but they weren't able to provide any kind of memo or documentation for that specific project stating that, all of the requirements had been met or had not been met. But that seems like a document that, it might not be specifically a checklist, but it seems like it could maybe be a memo or some type of an approval document that says that they've met. I don't know. At the same time, I shouldn't be creating documents.
It may be a matter of the complainant not requesting
Document with specificity?
a specific document. They probably should have requested all documents related to the new project.
Okay.
his request was?
The documents that he was requesting were regarding the exterior expansion of a building on Hyde Street.
Do you know what the exact wording of his request was? I'm trying to see.
I will find that. It is.
It says
It was
please-
generic when he. I apologize.
Okay, I have, please provide the public records, the sections of the planning code that the planning department applied to 2650 through 2652 Hyde Street, new project for exterior expansion, in order to prove, I think he means approve, this project. Planning department, and that was the request, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so he was.
Initially, he requested a list of the code sections that were applied for this project. Planning department provided a checklist of that listed all the code sections. Then the complainant asked, he wanted the completed checklist of how they, I assume, applied all these code sections to the project. And then the planning department stated, we did not complete a checklist, and then communication at that point stopped.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts, Member Fisher?
I got nothing.
Well, it sounds like the specific complaint on the IDR, was met. It's the additional request for documents where we're kind of hitting this impasse, or where documents might still be outstanding. Is there a way for us to make a motion not on the IDR, but for
You just kick it up to the,
full task force?
yeah, we've done that in the
We
past.
would like to make a suggestion. We need to tell
Okay.
them how
Let me take a
a
look.
path to follow.
Yeah, let me take a look at the code section for us.
I believe at this point, the complaint is that the documents provided were incomplete.
Yeah.
It's not 21, it's 25.
I believe it is 21,
Oh,
yes.
which one though? Well, let's see, it's not A or B. Maybe it's D.
I think it is. G.
Bottom is more about making it available than computer tape. Cracks me up.
How about E? 67.21E, which would be if the custodian refuses, fails to comply, or incompletely complies with the request described in B above, which was to an IDR, incomplete. I don't.
In English here, what's the issue? That he didn't get the specific information he wanted, so.
Well, the information he requested did not exist, but they probably should have interpreted his request to be a copy of the,
If it doesn't exist, then we can't force them to
Yes.
create something that doesn't exist. That comes up a lot.
yes, but it's a matter of being customer service oriented. They should have gone into the file.
Well, then maybe it should be C for if assist a requester.
Okay,
Let's just keep it at that then.
great.
I
67.21C.
knew we'd get there eventually with Victor. His help.
Right. So do we have a motion, Member Fisher?
Sure. I make a motion that we move this up to the full task force and investigate a violation of section 67.21C for assistance.
Do we have any public, do we have a second?
Second.
Do you have any public comment on that item? Seeing none. And I would like to include in that motion a finding of jurisdiction. We briefly discussed it. I don't know if we briefly discussed it, but from my look at these documents, these are public records, and that would fall within our jurisdiction. So I'd like to include that in the motion.
I believe you already asked for a public comment. I don't believe there was any public comment at this time.
Okay.
On that motion to move that a violation of 67.21C occurred for failing to provide assistance and to find jurisdiction. On that motion, Member Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Member Hinsey.
Aye.
Hinsey, aye. Chair Tesfa.
Aye.
Tesfa, aye. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is item number 7, file number 16107, complaint filed by the Library Users Association against Director Ed Redskin, San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency, for allegedly violating Administrative Code, Section 67.21, by failing to respond to a request for public records in a timely and/or complete manner. And I believe the issue at stake is that all these requests were made verbally. And I listed the 5 people, or I made myself a list of the 5 people. Will Tajanda provided a presentation at a meeting on October the 14th. At that meeting, I assumed that Mr. Warfield made a request for documents related to that presentation. The SFMTA stated that they did not provide that presentation to Mr. Warfield until November the 8th, which was beyond the time frame. There was allegations that Mr. Folks and Mr. Harana were provided a verbal request. However, in the SFMT response, the parties stated that they do not recall receiving a verbal request for records at that time. Moving on, Mr. Sean Kennedy. I do not have a lot of information regarding this one, regarding the date of the request and requested documents. Mr. White, I believe there was a request for records on the October 31st, and there was a response provided on November the 1st, but I believe that the complainant I will leave it at that point. But however, this issue of verbal request is becoming an issue as there's no documentation for verbal requests.
I mean, my initial, is there anyone to speak on behalf of the complainant? Is Mr.
No.
Warfield here? Okay. So on October 27th, you said that a presentation was made by
Mr.
White.
No, on the. Sorry, I would just refer to the SFMTA letter as they list out their response.
Well, there's one request where they basically admit that they've
Yes.
responded to the request late.
That was Mr. Tarjanda's October 14th request. I believe on page 148 is the SFMTA's response, where they it's their response to the complaint, where they list the people involved and their
Is it
their
November
recollection.
28th or October 28th?
November 16th on this letter.
The letter is dated the request to Will Tabanja was on October the 14th. And October the 27th, a separate request was made to Mr. White.
Okay.
However, the only one that I believe we have confirmation or acknowledgement of being late is the one regarding Mr. Tajanja.
So he has provided the documents? Because
Yes.
in the complaint, it says that we have received nothing from him to date.
I believe in the letter it states,
Which page do you have?
page 148.
Okay.
But in the last paragraph, they're saying they don't recall requests. Didn't he, aren't we?
That was the other two members.
Oh. So then he sent this email.
Third paragraph on November 1st, an email with a link to the SFMTA project was intended to be provided to Mr. Warfield. However, they corrected that mistake on November 8th and sent the presentation via email. So the document, they do state that the presentation was provided on November the 8th.
Member Fisher, I was wondering if
I have a problem with this. I mean, we're sitting here trying to adjudicate this, so to speak, or at least discuss it or sort it out, and yet we have all these questions for the complainant, and he's not here. So, I mean, I want to know: did you get what you were asked? This, I've been saying this for 5 years. Did you get the documents you needed? Where are you on this? I think rather than spend any more of our time here, let's just bump this up and move on to the next one.
so. And I'm happy to do that in a moment. It's just that I wanted to ask about what experience have you had with oral and verbal requests for documents?
It's a new
because
one.
It's okay for people to not be present here. This is more of a pre-hearing conference to make sure that from the documents that we have, it looks like a case appears, it looks like we have jurisdiction, things like that. And in this situation, it appears that we might have jurisdiction. I'm just curious about. It's hard for me to tell from this complaint. I don't have any documentation of the requests. There were oral requests, but I have a hard time putting dates together. In the letter from the SFMTA, it says that from Mr. Tabohanda's Tabohanda that they provided the documents late, but from the Library Users Association's complaint, it says that they have received no documents. At this time, which I guess could vary depending on when that was written. That's on page 148. So,
Do you want my answer? I mean,
sure, yeah. Or in your experience.
Well, yeah, I have three things to say. One, in my 5 years on this, I have a really good memory. It drives my girlfriend crazy. I don't ever remember us having, and I could be wrong. Maybe I was absent, but I don't ever remember us having a complaint based on a verbal request. So that's one thing. Two, and I'm just putting it out there, full disclosure, I was not in favor of this new version of complaint committee, sifting and sorting through information without the people here, because three, all this stuff, and some of it's pretty simple actually, is already a month and a half old, and how do we know what's changed? Maybe Mr. Warfield or library users organization has gone happily and merrily on their way and has everything they need, and we're sitting here, going through something that may not even be relevant. Okay. So that's my issue.
Wait, Member Hinsey?
But I'm happy to be here with you, and I'm happy to be able to fill in.
Member Hinsey, do you have anything that you'd like to say or questions?
Waiting to hear from you over there. This totally patient person over there who's actually here.
I think I'm good to just move it up with no recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Victor, do you have any experience with verbal, oral
This is only
requests?
the second one that I've seen.
So
The other
this
one was
one.
against the public library,
Okay.
and we did talk,
Probably the
but
same
this is
complaint.
a new issue.
Okay.
But I believe that the department has acknowledged at least one violation.
Okay, so maybe at this time, first, can we make a motion to find jurisdiction?
Yeah, moved.
Sure. It's well within the library's
So we can
jurisdiction.
take that without contest. And I would like to hear maybe a motion to move this up, but without any recommendation, because and maybe Victor could follow up with the complainant. I guess we could make a recommendation for that one violation.
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting.
Okay, for that one violation where the SFMTA has admitted that they did not respond in a timely manner. But for the rest of the complaints, it's very, the specific requests, it's very difficult to move forward with a recommendation without having any documentation of the request being made. So I was wondering if maybe we could apply the recommendation only to that one request?
Yes.
And then the rest can be moved up for full review, but without a recommendation?
Yes, and
Okay.
maybe we can ask for additional information regarding.
That would be great, because perhaps this has already been resolved, and that's why Mr. Warfield is not present. And I know you can't speak to that, so.
What's today? Today's Tuesday. There's no other big meeting today. We're the only game in town today, right? Board of Supervisors are on recess.
I don't believe it is resolved. I did hear from Mr. Warfield today. He was on the fence on whether or not he was able to attend or not, but I believe it's still an active complaint.
Okay, thank you, that's helpful.
I believe there's a motion on the floor to refer the matter to the full task force. The issue of jurisdiction has already been found. The motion is to find a violation of 67.21 regarding the verbal request made to Mr. Tajanda in regards to the other four members of the SFMTA staff. Those items are referred without recommendations for violation at this time, as we'll leave it at that.
Great.
Is there
So moved.
Second.
is there any public comment? There being no public comment, on the motion, Member Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Member Hensy.
Aye.
Hensy, aye. Chair Tesfa.
Aye.
Tesfa, aye. This item will either be scheduled for the January 4th or the February 1st meeting of the task force, depending on the information it can gather.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda. Item number 8, file number 16109, Mike Black against Animal Care and Control for allegedly violating Administrative Code, Section 67.21, 67.24, and 67.26, and Government Code, Section 67.2, 6252E, and 6253A by failing to respond to a request for public records in a timely and/or complete manner.
Do we need to have a motion for jurisdiction on this at this time?
You can do it now or after hearing discussion.
Let's do it after.
Yes.
Okay.
From the complainant. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Black. I've already submitted a fair amount of material to this committee and the task force, and all I was hoping to do here this evening was address Animal Care and Control's 3-page letter response to my complaint, which I just received on Thursday, so I wasn't able to, I didn't have the time to prepare any kind of formal rebuttal, and there are a few items in the letter that I feel like I need to address.
Good deal.
I'm a little bit worried that I'm going to run over time, but we'll just go from whenever I'm stopped.
Thank you.
Basically what I'm doing is just going through their letter and then giving you my response. So they state in their letter, on 9/22/16, ACC provided the redacted dog license information for a resident at 3743 17th Street. Just to clarify, in violation of the law, Government Code Section 6253A and Administrative Code 67.26, I was never provided a copy of the dog license or dog license application with or without redactions. Redacted seems to be the term ACC uses to mean completely withholding a public record. It is true that 9/22/16 was the first time ACC directly confirmed the existence of a dog license for the address in question, though its existence had been implied in earlier emails. And this is possibly the single most egregious example of how ACC's actions in this case do not represent sincere efforts or some simple misunderstanding about what I was asking for or the response of a well-intentioned but meager staff at a small, overworked city agency, which is what the letter wants you to believe. That confirmation on September 22nd that the dog license even existed came 3 months after my original request for it on June 23rd. That very narrow June 23rd request for any records ACC had for the specific address in question was never even responded to until I complained more than a month later, August 1st, about the lack of a response. And because I was never provided a copy of the license, even with redactions, and because ACC was withholding the name of the licensee in clear violation of the law, I had to submit an immediate disclosure request for the same information on September 6th. And again, they didn't even provide the information until September 22nd. As for the production of the license itself or license application, I stand by my argument in the addendum to my complaint. The Supervisor of Records acknowledges the authority of the case CBS v. Block and the California Attorney General's summary of the California Public Records Act. And those two authorities explicitly reject the idea that Government Code Section 6254C expressly or specifically exempts names and addresses on license applications. And Administrative Code 67.24I permits no other kind of exemption. The dog license application must be disclosed. And that was like the end of my time, though I have other things to say.
For how much longer?
Till he's done.
Do you have any specific?
I want to hear what he has.
Well, the original, I don't know how much that time that took. The original, the whole thing took 10 minutes. So what that less from 10 minutes is what's left of my presentation, as it were.
Could we give the complainant 2 more minutes to sum up the rest of his statements?
He's waited here the whole time. So.
Let me just see what's the most important then.
And we also have some questions for you, so you'll be able to go into details of that.
Maybe I can guide you there. My question is, what's still missing and what do you need from us?
The dog license, number one,
Okay.
or the dog license application. My original complaint was divided into 3 parts, and the simplest was really the first, the dog license application.
Dog license and the dog license
Application.
Okay.
Though, in fact, I was never actually provided anything directly in response to that request. They said that I had everything from an earlier request that I had submitted. And, I have very little from that address, about that address, and I don't know if they're still standing by that. All I can do is assume that they are still standing by that.
Can you give us a few more details about what you did receive? You said it was a document that was completely redacted, or no document at all?
As far as the dog license, I received absolutely nothing in response to the request.
Can we start out? I mean, why don't we just start asking questions and
Yeah, and
tell
see
us
how
more.
that-
So I'm a cat person, first of all, so I don't know how this works. I haven't had a dog since I was like in 9th grade. If somebody lives in San Francisco, I wish ACC was here. If somebody lives in San
I
Francisco,
can tell you, I know as
please
much
do.
as ACC on
It's-
some of this stuff because I've had to
real
learn it.
short, abridged.
Really
version.
short. So it's you're required by law to license any dog in San Francisco. But by ACC's own accounting, there are an estimated 120,000 dogs in the city, and only 20,000 are licensed. But it is required by law for the dogs to be licensed. They have admitted to me in a letter they don't pursue that any more than they pursue
So it's like Airbnb. Nobody really registers. Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, some people want to register their dogs,
Right.
because it's lost or whatever. I don't have a dog. No.
Okay.
What my concern is a dog's off leash. This is how this all got started. There's a law against dogs being off leash. ACC refuses to enforce that law, not in a somewhat similar way from the same way they will not really force people to license their dogs. I think if you get caught with your dog unlicensed, they can cite you.
So
And they'll
you
make you
were
go.
asking for a record of this dog's licensing, which, as you've heard for the last half hour or 45 minutes, maybe that doesn't exist.
They've admitted it exists.
Oh, they admit that the
just
license
yeah,
exists.
on
Okay.
September 22nd, they finally admitted
All right.
it existed, and they were not going to divulge the name of the licensee because it was a matter of privacy under 6254C of the government code.
Did they provide you a copy of the license with the name redacted?
No.
What did they provide you with?
They
Nothing?
have. I'm not joking. They have
was the
provided me nothing.
What was the document that you said was redacted? I'm confused by that. I heard you use the word redacted. If you
Yes,
what
okay.
was
They
redacted?
say, this is their statement on page 1 of their letter. On 9/22/16, ACC provided the redacted dog license information for a resident at 3743 17th Street. What they did is they sent me an email and they said, oh yeah, there's a dog owner there at that address, and yeah, there's a license, but that's all we're going to tell you.
Okay.
And that's not my understanding of either Government Code 6253A or 67.26, where they're supposed to give you the document with any exempted information
So
redacted.
what you're looking for is like official dog license of San Francisco. The name of the owner can be
Right.
removed, but it would just say this address has a dog registered on the whatever appears on a dog license.
Well,
Maybe
I'm
the
saying-
breed or something.
I'm saying if the information were in fact legally exempt, the name was legally exempt, they could do that. I'm saying the legally name isn't even exempt, so I should get it with
The
it
whole
totally
document.
unredacted. But even accepting their argument, they should have given me the copy with any information that was exempt redacted.
But instead, they gave you like an email with a summary that it
They
exists.
just said, oh, someone lives at that address, and yes, we're not going to tell you their name.
Helpful.
And again, boy, was that late. That was 3 months after I'd asked for it.
Right.
And again, I got, actually the request on June 23rd was for anything related to the dog owners at that address. I was having problems with this dog owner who refusing to leash 3 dogs, and they were just roaming the sidewalks with this guy when he would go out walking.
Before we get too much further into this.
Okay.
I know there was additional requests that you made regarding 2014, 2015, and 2016 communication. Are you no longer have issues with those issues, or is your only complaint regarding the dog license?
No, it is not. But you're correct, yes. My original complaint came in 3 parts. So the second part was about all these emails.
Okay, I
or
just
written
wanted to be
communications.
sure.
Yeah.
There's additional portions to this complaint.
Okay. And so, what are the additional missing documents? You said emails.
There are emails that are missing, and it's a somewhat convoluted story at this point because there was a technical problem, and apparently in June, they sent me some emails that was part of my request back in February. I got some of them, but there were 2 batches of the emails I did not receive because they were large PDF files.
And these are emails regarding your communication with animal control for the licenses?
What I was asking for was all written communications related to the dog leash law or its enforcement. So I expected to see things like my written complaints of dogs off leash, other people's written complaints of dogs off leash, their responses to people about those issues, any communication with other intergovernmental agencies about either the police or the attorney, the city attorney, or something about the law and policies that were going to be enforced, anything like that.
And would these be documents between a certain period of time or any of them
Yes.
ever existed?
Yeah. Originally, the dates were from January 1st, 2014 to February 1st, 2016, which was the date of my request, my original request.
I hate to do this, but I'm just trying to get my records or my notes. May I ask, when did you make that request?
February 1st, 2016.
February 1st, 2016.
So it was about a
And
2.
when did they give you your? When did they respond to that?
I didn't get a response until March 1st, after I emailed them saying you were supposed to have responded in 10 days.
So it was an IDR.
It was not an IDR.
Okay.
But that was 30
Yeah,
days, so it's
yeah.
still.
Great.
I mean, and so they responded on May 1st and May 3rd with these scant 2 Excel spreadsheets, columns of numbers, referencing other records and other reports.
So they responded with something was incomplete.
Yes, and late. And when I told them, well, I'd asked it for all reports. You can see my original request. It's in the documentation. One of the things I was asking for, I was asking for all public records related to the dog leash law and its enforcement. Trying to be helpful, I was explicit with some things. These include but are not limited to. And I gave things like, reports of dogs off leash, citations, any communication with either dog owners or business owners about this issue and stuff. When they sent these to me, these 2 Excel spreadsheets, columns of numbers, and I told them, well, but this can't be this can't be it. I mean, number one, these reference obviously thousands of other records, and there's no, where's my emails complaining about dogs? And they actually said to me, they asserted to me, this is all the information you asked for.
Okay. And what was the third missing document? So right now we have the dog license and with application. The second were the emails regarding all communications about the dog
All written
license.
communications, right?
Right.
It wasn't just email. It could be letters. It could be faxes.
Sure.
I don't know. The third part of my complaint in the
Right.
original complaint was a very general one, I'm afraid, about just the general lateness of their response. The fact that they kept making it sound like I was being, well, I would love to be able to respond to one small part of their letter here, if I could, that kind of explains the issue a little bit. So they stated in their response letter, ultimately, ACC and Ms. Goldbeck provided thousands of records to Mr. Black during 2016 in response to his myriad requests. Number one, I never suggested that the response to my February 1st single request for all public records would not be voluminous. I didn't know one way or the other. I couldn't know. But ACC seems to have confused things here a bit. Their repeated unresponsiveness over many months led to the increasing frustration of my having to ask over and over and over again for the same records. I mean, it's just astonishing. These emails that were produced on June 7th, they had already told me 3 times prior to that, when I had told them this can't be all, 3 times they'd explicitly said to me in emails, this is over. You know, we've produced everything that's responsive, and that's it.
Thank you.
And then I complained on May 31st, I complained to the supervisor of records. And then on May 7th, I got emails that were responsive to my February 1st request.
But the third request, is it for a specific document? That's what I'm confused about. It's a third issue, but is it a third document that you're missing? I just want to make sure that we have the right list so that we can help you get what you need.
Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as additional documents.
Okay.
It's just this overall issue that I go to in some detail in the complaint and maybe also in the addendum.
But I was still trying to figure. I did see that when I was looking at the documents. I was just trying to.
No, I think you're right. I think you've got it right. It's the dog leash, number one. Then there's the set of documents, primarily written communications, though I would also include things like that. Again, this was something I was going to go over. In my original February 1st request, in my including but not limited to categories, I'd included citations for dog violations.
It's basically information that you would need to know in order to figure out, like, is there a problem? What's going on? How does the city manage this?
They were never produced, and then finally in September, so what are we talking about? 7 months later, I did an IDR. This is a terminology I had picked up this evening. I did an IDR, an immediate disclosure request, for citations, and the records related to them. Because there was, in the original records, it's too complicated to get into any detail, but there's a discrepancy in the original records. One Excel sheet said there were 58 citations issued in this period. The records they produced only showed 31 being issued. And so I asked for, number one, I never got any citations. Can you give me those citations, copies of the citations, and can you give me the records for those missing citations? I got, out of the total of supposedly 58 maximum, I got 8 copies of citations. I got no explanation. I still, to this day, have no explanation for the discrepancy between 31 citations for which there are records versus 58 for which there is a number in a column on an Excel spreadsheet.
Sure. Okay. So at this point, I would like to just quickly look at the sections of the ordinance that have been implicated so that we can try and formulate a motion. I know that 67.21 is listed. Is there a specific portion of 67.21 that you were looking at? Because there are a number of subsections of that. And 67.21 is dealing with the process for gaining access to public records.
I apologize. I did not go over 6721 as thoroughly as I probably should have in preparation for this. It's the others I kind of fixated on.
Okay, let's do those first, and then we can come back. How about that? So 67.24.
Yes, 67.24I is the one I would be most emphatic about as it regards the dog license.
Okay.
Because that actually makes it perfectly clear there's no exemption for license information.
And 67.26?
And that refers to the fact that you're supposed to get as much of a document as you can get with, as long as it's not totally segregable. As long as there's some part of it, you get the record with redacted information on it.
And so this would be in reference also to the license that you received. Well, you didn't actually receive.
I didn't receive
but the reference was made to it in the email, but then you didn't receive the actual document.
Right.
Okay.
And Government Code Section 6253A is much the same as far as not being able to completely withhold a document, that you have to provide the document if it's not 100% severable.
So 67.26A.
And
So let's go back
there's
to
another.
67.21.
That most likely is for timeliness.
Okay, great. So which portion, subsection, should we make reference to? A?
May I ask, regarding the communications, are you satisfied that you have received all those documents in regards to communications?
They say in their letter that I haven't received all of them. Oh, there's been a mistake. They were in somebody's sent box instead of inbox. So, we're getting those together. We'll send them to you. That's in their response to this complaint.
Well, these are the letters that I provided to you. That's 300 pages or 278 pages of documentation. Do you believe those are complete, or do you believe that?
No, they're not complete. For instance, the year 2014. Well, first of all, it was 3 different files, PDF files, broken down: 2014, 2015, 2016. I got 2015 for some reason, well, because it was only a 20 megabyte file. The 22 megabyte file, the 29 megabyte files for 2014 and 16, I didn't get. 2014, I began my attachment number 2 to the complaint with some emails that I had, which were clearly responsive to my February 1st request, my original February 1st request, which had not been produced. And so I thought, well, now that I've gotten these emails that were sent in June but didn't get into my inbox because they were too big, maybe that's there now. But that very first email is not in this batch that you just gave to me.
That's all.
Yeah.
Great,
So
that's incomplete.
the documents that were provided regarding the communications are believed to be incomplete at this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then that would be 67.21D. Is that what we're looking at?
And I'm not sure. I'm trying to look for the one that actually has the time parameters, the days when they're supposed to. Oh, that's D, I think.
We can just reference the entirety of 21.
Okay, since it seems like a couple of sections.
Yes.
The timeliness and incomplete
Yes.
nature.
Right.
Okay. So do we have a motion at this time?
Oh,
sorry.
can I reference one more? I can't remember if this was in your list of relevant statutes in the agenda, but Government Code Section 6253.1A1 has to do with the response of the agency, the manner in which they're supposed to, that they're supposed to be helpful, and they're supposed to, if there's any misunderstanding or
we should probably
ambiguities
reference the Sunshine
Yeah, we need to
version.
reference the Sunshine Ordinance, not the California Public Records Act. But in your case,
I believe it's providing assistance. That's under 6721.
okay, so then we can do it. So
Oh, okay.
So
All
we
right.
have,
All
so
right.
our statute is even more strict than the California
Yes, yeah,
Public
no, I
Records Act.
understand. It's a
So we
good
have
thing.
coverage.
Yeah.
So inadequate assistance.
Yes.
Okay. So that'll be also in 67.21. Incompleteness,
Okay.
inadequate assistance, timeliness.
Yeah.
Yes. And I believe the records at stake are the communications and written records, and then a copy of the dog license application and the dog license itself.
Great.
Yeah.
Those are the documents that are still in question.
Right. Correct.
Thank you, Victor. You can be seated.
Okay,
We're
great. Thank you very much.
We'll discuss and try and we'll come up with a motion.
I don't know if this is the time, but I just wanted to make it clear to Victor, because he's been very, very helpful in all this. You sent me something on Thursday, the CD of all those files, and we thought it would get there by Saturday at the latest. It didn't get there till yesterday. It didn't get to my home till yesterday. But it's a good thing. But it didn't matter because you'd sent them to my Yahoo address, and they got through, and I had them, so it didn't matter in the end. But thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, due to size limitations, I sent him
Thank you.
a CD to try to be sure he had them.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, I'm really, really sorry. I mentioned this in an email also to Victor, and I actually had printouts of basically what I was going to go through tonight, and I don't know if I have extra copies. Can that be added to my record? Can I email it? Can I can hand them out.
Please send them to Victor.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
Email version would be preferable. That way I have an electronic
Okay, so you don't even want one copy of the,
I will print it out once I receive it.
okay, all right, I will do that.
That can
then.
be in the packet, and if you would like, you could bring the copy to when you have your full hearing, but
Okay.
Victor is very good about making sure it's all there, so.
Okay.
So just so you know, I have not included the emails themselves in the packet as they are too much.
Okay,
300 pages.
it's okay. Yeah, no, I saw the reference made to them, though. Okay, so at this time, do we have a motion? I could make the motion if you'd like, but.
Yes, because
Okay, is it okay?
Yes.
So we'd like to make, we've already found, or I guess we should find jurisdiction. Motion on that.
It's ACC, they're,
Great.
Yes.
Yep.
Do a second? Okay.
so moved.
And then I'd like to make a motion to recommend for this case to be heard by the full task force. The recommendation that I would like to include would include violations of Section 67.21, Section 67.24I, and Section 67.26A.
You got it.
Yes, 67.24I.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Second.
Wait, 24, I'm still looking up,
okay.
24I
Yes.
and
And 67.26.
is the ones that these
It's fine.
obscure ones that we haven't used in a while, E, F, G, H, I. Okay, sure. And 26, oh. Yeah, we use that a lot.
Okay.
Oh, do we have that motion?
Yes, we made the motion. Just 2 seconds.
Second.
Okay. It's been seconded. If you could just call the roll.
There are no members of the public at this time. On that motion, Member Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Member Hinsey.
Aye.
The aye. Chair Tesfa.
Aye. Thank you.
Tesfa, aye. The motion passes. Mr. Black, I will inform you via email whether or not we can schedule this for the January 4th or the February 1st meeting. I do need to check with Animal Care and Control to be sure that they will be in attendance.
Okay, great. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your patience.
Get to go home early.
Oh, we'll see. We have one more item.
That's it.
Well, just adjournment. Or announcements,
Item number 9.
comments.
Announcements,
I don't know
comments,
what
questions,
Victor had to
future
say.
agenda items, and pending calendar by members of the committee.
Anyone? Nope. Okay, we'll see
No, I got
none.
nothing.
We'll adjourn.
All right.
Happy holidays.